What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to be looking ahead to 2025 and discussing fighters that I believe are going to have a downfall next year. They're going to fall off, they're going to be cooked, and they will not see the top of the sport again after this year. That's the premise of this video. You guys can let me know in the comments who you think is going to fall off. I was trying to do one fighter per division, but in the end I had some divisions where I didn't really know, and then I had other divisions where there was multiple. So I've just gone with 10 total fighters today, I believe. But yeah, you guys let me know in the comments which fighters you think are going to fall off, if you agree or not with my predictions. And yeah, let's start off with the video. Right off the bat, I think Vera is going to have a major fall off next year. Maybe not major, and you could already say he's fallen off because he's lost his last two fights. He hasn't won a fight in 2024. So maybe you guys could say, oh, this is a cheap pick, like he's already clearly not good. But to my view of a fall off is like, I would say losing your status in the division of like the level that you're at and where people view you. And that's not in terms of like Vera being viewed as like a title contender. Like I don't think anyone views him as that anymore. He didn't even deserve the title shot that he got to begin with. But people view him as like a guy who's going to be competitive with most guys, going to be a tough fight for most guys. And I don't think he is going to be that anymore. I think he's slowly just going to get drowned out of the top 10, top 15, because people are actually good at fighting, and Cheeto isn't that good. He just has a chin, and I think people are going to realize that they can just like fight smart and not get KO'd by him, fluke like comeback third round TKO'd, and they can beat him. So I think people are going to start figuring out the Vera puzzle. They're going to start beating up on him easier. They're going to start just doing what O'Malley did, which is just teeing off on this dude, because I really don't think he's that good. So yeah, I think Vera is not going to look that good in his coming fights. I think his chin is also not going to be at its best. He's taking beatings. He's getting dropped. So yeah, I think expect to see Vera exit the top 10 of the rankings this time next year. Anyway, let's move on though to another fighter. Moving along to featherweight, Brian Ortega is going to have a major fall off next year. Look, he went 1-1 this year, but I think people less remember the Yair fight and more remember him just getting beaten up by Diego Lopez and getting revived by the second punch that landed on his chin in the first 30 seconds of the fight. I've never been an Ortega fan. I never will be. I just don't understand why anyone would be a fan of him, to be honest. I mean, he's fun, I guess, but his claim to fame is just taking a beating. Like, I've never, like, Vettori, Cheeto, Ortega, I've never been a fan of these guys who just rely on their fucking chin and aren't that good. Like, Ortega's probably better than Cheeto and Vettori because at least he's good at grappling, but, like, I still just don't like any of those guys. It's like, damn, bro, they're tough. I'm like, yeah, okay, but, like, you're in the UFC. You can't just be tough. Like, you actually have to be good. So I think Ortega's going to get absolutely cooked in his next couple fights. Maybe he stays at featherweight. Maybe, I think if he moves up, it's going to be even worse. There's still fights in the top 15 that he can win, in my opinion. Like, we saw him beat Yair. If he can fight those strikers with the lower quality takedown defense, he can win those fights. If he goes up to lightweight, he does not. I'm telling you right now, Ortega does not beat a single top 15 fighter at lightweight. I don't care what you say. I know BSD's been exposed as kind of a fraud. I still think BSD would beat Ortega. Ortega is not a lightweight. He's a soft-bodied fucking soy-build featherweight. And he would get absolutely rinsed at lightweight. So if he stays at featherweight, it's slightly better for him. I still think Arnold Allen would whoop up on him. I still think Josh Emmett would sleep him. I still think Gene Silva would fucking beat his ass. Like, I think all of these guys, obviously he's not going to fight him, but like Movzar would win easily. I think even Aljo at this point would beat him quite comfortably. I think he's just not going to win fights at the top of the division, and he will, if he fights more than once next year, he is going to just drop down the rankings amazingly. It's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. Next up, this is one of my like more notable sort of picks of the video, and a few of these other ones are pretty like gimmick picks. Like, they're like, okay, yeah, this dude's clearly gonna like just have a fall off. But this one, I don't think as many people are thinking about this. I don't think Justin Gaethje is gonna come back the same fighter. I do not think he's gonna be able to go into a brawl, which is going to be in his next fight. Like, I'm like 90% sure he's fighting Dan Hooker. That's been put out there. I got told about it like a week ago. It's since been put out by other people. Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje, is probably going to happen. And if he goes into a fight with Dan Hooker, who to be fair is also kind of washed, and if he gets chinned, I could see him going on another career downfall after reviving his previous one. But Gaethje, I think, is different. I think Gaethje is very reliant on his chin in these fights when he gets into these brawls. And unless he fights smart like he did against Fiziev and has those sort of more technical performances where he doesn't take as much damage, then he could maybe be okay. But if he fights Dan Hooker the way he fought Max Holloway, I'm telling you, this dude's getting tuned up and fucking finished. Like, I think his chin's going to be cooked. I know he's taken a while off after the KO, but I think his chin's going to be fucked. I think he's not going to be as, like, aggressive. He's going to be way more tentative, and it's going to allow people to just sort of tee off on him and catch him. And I think he's going to start getting put away. It's not going to be quite as like, depressing as the Tony Ferguson. You're like, yeah, this dude's clearly washed. But I think it's going to be a case of one of those sort of, he's going to turn into a glass cannon where he's still dangerous, but if you catch him on the chin, Gaethje's going to start going out, and he's going to do it often. So I think we see Gaethje probably maybe not win a fight next year, honestly. I think he could lose to Dan Hooker. If they make Gaethje like a minus 200 against Dan Hooker, I'm betting Dan Hooker. I'm not confident because Dan Hooker also is kind of chinny. So I think that fight is going to be like, everyone's going to think of that as like, oh, this is going to be a sick war. And I think it'll end early because I think both of them are kind of cooked. So I think he will lose to Dan Hooker. And then who could he fight after that? Guys, let me tell you about this kid, Joel Alvarez. No, he's not going to fight Joel Alvarez, but I would love it if he did, because he would lose. But I don't know. Who else could Gaethje fight after that? Like, maybe fucking Paddy Pimblett gets just taken down. Like, I don't know. I think we're going to see Gaethje go on a bit of a downfall and potentially retire at the back end of next year, or be looking at like, oh, this is my last fight in early 2026. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Hey, to be fair, I'm stat padding here. For when you guys come back to this at the end of next year and be like, aged like milk, bro, you only got one of these right, Beneil's going to be the one that I get right. Like, if I get none of these right except for one, I'm very confident in this Beneil pick. Look, it's kind of a gimme. He's already kind of washed. He already has been finished multiple times. Did he even... Wait, hang on. Did Beneil fight this year? Oh, am I bugging? He hasn't, no. Because he fought... Because he got KO'd by Arman in December 2023. No, so yeah, Beneil hasn't fought this year. So yeah, I think he's going to come back against Moicano. Moicano cannot afford to lose. You know this, my brother. So he's going to lose, Beneil, that is. And then I reckon, who's he going to fight? Let me tell you about this kid, Joel. No, I don't know. I could see him getting like a Ziam fight after that, or an Alvarez fight's not unrealistic. If they want to give Alvarez a top 10 guy in Spain, they go to Spain. They need an excuse to have like Spanish fighters on the main card, so they give Alvarez a top 10 guy. I could see Beneil just getting fed to Joel Alvarez. Like, I think this dude's going to go on a bad downfall. He's going to lose in January. He's going to be like, he's going to think he's still good, and he's going to think he's still got it against, and he's going to do the Anthony Smith of like, they're just tough stylistic matchups. It's like, no, you're just washed, buddy. He's got no chin, and he's allergic to fast starters. So now Moicano is honestly one of his better matchups in the top 15. Like, if he fights a Fiziev, or if he fights a fucking Ziam or an Alvarez or a fucking Gaethje, God forbid. If Gaethje fights Beneil, then I retract my pick of Gaethje losing all his fights next year. But yeah, anyone who starts fast with power is just going to KO this guy. Like, even Gamrot in a fucking rematch, I'd probably back to just TKO him in the first. But yeah, I think Beneil's cooked. Anyway, let's move on though to the welterweight division. Thoughts on Usman? No thoughts as well. Fucking little bald Malteser head. He's going to get fucking sparked unconscious in his next fight. Usman's going to fucking go on a downfall and lose, and he's going to regret not taking the Shavkat fight, because I think he could have beat the Shavkat that showed up. If the Usman that fought Hamzat showed up against the Shavkat that fought Ian Gary, I think Usman gives him a tough fight. But I think we're going to see Usman come back against a JDM and just lose and not be able to get his takedowns consistently, look washed. This dude's got no fucking knees. He's always going to fight Buckley. If he fights Buckley or JDM next, I see it going badly for him, maybe even getting finished, honestly. Like, it's tough to say if he gets finished, because he hasn't been, like, taking too much damage recently. Like, he's been out for ages, but I think he's going to be rusty. Like, I think the best Usman was prime active Usman that fought fucking 3 times in 2021. That was prime Usman. Now we're seeing this dude take like 8 months. Like, after the Colby fight, he didn't fight again until fucking August, and then he didn't fight again until March, and then he didn't fight again until October, and he hasn't fought since. So I think Usman needs to stay active, and he's going to look washed. His knee's going to be fucked. His movement's going to be awful. I think Buckley will put a pace on him and finish him. I think JDM can finish him. Let me talk about this kid, Carlos Prates. No, if Prates fights him, he's KOing him, trust. But, like, yeah, I just don't see any of his fights unless they, for some reason, do a fucking Colby fight or if they give him Wonder Boy or some shit. But apart from that, if this dude fights Brady, he's losing. I'm telling you, Brady would do what Usman did to Woodley. That is my maybe not even a hot take. That is my envisioning of, like, Sean Brady is like the white Kamaru Usman on the come up. Like, if Sean Brady fights fights Kamaru Usman, it's going to look the same as Usman versus Woodley. Just dominate him in the clinch, be too physical for him at his older age, and just chuck him around and dominate him. I see that happening. So, yeah, Buckley, JDM, Brady, these fights all go badly for him. Even a fucking Ian Gary would probably just tune him up on the feet. So, yeah, I think Usman's cooked. I don't think he wins another fight. I think he'll fight, like, first quarter next year. Probably not fight again till, like, the end of the year and probably lose and retire as well. So, Usman, you're gone, mate. Get out of here. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next fighter. I'm still stat padding here. The downfall is already underway. Colby Duckington is cooked. Colby Excusington, Copington. These are going to be the names for him exclusively on the channel now. I've hated this dude for a long time. I've never understood why he has fans. I've always fucking thought Colby was a cringe little cunt and I hated him. So I'm glad to see him losing fights. I'm glad to see him coping about losses. It's very funny to see him acting like it was 1-1 going into the third. I was putting a pace on him and I was taking over in that fight. Like, bro, you were getting dominated. It was 3-0. Shut the fuck up. So yeah, Colby's cooked. Prates sleeps him. Anyone who fucking fights him. Honestly, yes or no, I'm picking Wonderboy to beat him in a 3-rounder. Like, yes or no, I'm picking Wonderboy to keep it on the feet and tune him up with kicks at range for 3 rounds and maybe lose the third and win 29-28. Like, Wonderboy beats this version of Colby. Maybe he's not as washed as I think, but I still think he's cooked. Wonderboy's an easier fight for him, but, like, Jeff Neal beats this dude. Prates beats this dude. Ian Gary tunes this guy up easily. Gilbert Burns probably still beats this dude, honestly. So yeah, I think Colby's fucked and he's gonna lose again and again and keep coping and being like, I took this fight off the couch. It's not a real fight. Dustin Poirier, you're next. Like, shut up. You cringe. Yeah, Colby's fucked. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. Next up, front and center on the thumbnail. You probably clicked on the video for this reason because you knew I was gonna drop some fucking legendary D1 hating on Israel Adesanya. This dude's going on the downfall. He's not winning a fight in 2025. Trust. I manifested this. This is my manifestation. This is me preying on the downfall of Israel Adesanya. This is less like he's completely washed and more just like I hope he's going to just lose a bunch. And I think he's going to lose to Amavov. And I'm claiming that pick, even though other people are probably going to pick Amavov too. People are going to come around and realize Amavov's got the grappling upside and Izzy. And Amavov only really like struggles with guys who put pressure on him and use their physicality and make and offensively grapple him. Other than that, you won't see this dude losing that much. Like, Phil Hawes, I don't know. But, like, recently, Strickland just put a pace on him, walked him down, and that was also in the Apex. I think in a big cage, he does a lot better. And, like, all his fights where he's looked kind of mid. Like, when he looks kind of mid for the first couple rounds against Cannonier. Cannonier's mixing in the grappling. Brendan Allen took him down in the first. And then, I'm telling you, people say, oh, Brendan Allen was catching him. Brendan Allen was catching him because Amavov like struggles when guys mix in takedowns and then he gets caught up with the takedown threat and then that affects his striking. Izzy's not fucking shooting takedowns on this dude. Izzy's getting taken down by fucking Rongzhu, unranked lightweight from fucking China. He's cooked. Everyone's like, oh, it's training. I know. Who cares though? He's still going to lose. But Amavov's got the grappling upside. When Amavov pushes a grappling pace, he's fine. He can offensively grapple himself and not gas. It's when other people grapple him, he gasses. Izzy's not going to muscle him around in the clinch either. And I just don't think Izzy's going to be improving. That's my main thing. He's going to be 36 soon. Maybe he's already... I think he's 35 right now. He's turning 36 next year. He's going to get older. You don't improve at 35 unless you're like Alex Pereira starting your career late. Like... unless you're starting your career late, if you've been in combat sports for as long as Izzy has, which I will give him respect for, the longevity of his career is insane across 2 sports. But apart from, like, you're not improving. I don't think he's going to come out looking better. I think the Dricus fight was like the best Adesanya was going to look. I think that is the best possible Izzy that could have showed up that night. And he still lost to Dricus and was getting tagged on the feet. Amavov's quick as fuck. I think Amavov will match the speed of Izzy. Imavov's got good straights, and again, people can land on Imavov. They throw big looping shots, they throw big hooks. I think Imavov's defense to straight punches is pretty solid. I don't think he's going to get big. I don't think he's getting fucking knocked out by Izzy, and maybe, I mean, he gets held at range and low kicked, but I think Imavov's beating him. So yeah, I think Izzy's going to lose to Imavov, and then praise be they give him fucking Lord above, do something about this, please. They give him fucking Anthony Hernandez and he gets ragdolled. That is what we need. But Izzy, I'm praying on his downfall. I do think he'll lose to Imavov. Maybe he wins his fight after that if they give him a layup. Maybe they do a fucking Whittaker trilogy. But even a Whittaker trilogy, I wouldn't even mind Whittaker to win. But yeah, I think Izzy's not looking good at this point, and I don't think he's going to get back to a title fight for a fucking third time. He already got the undeserved title shot against Strickus. He ain't getting another title shot. We don't need Izzy at the top of the sport. It's going to be the same with welterweight. Colby, Usman, these guys, they're going to be drowned out of the top 5, top 10. Izzy, probably Whittaker as well. I don't have Whittaker here, but I think he is also going to struggle next year as well. I think we're going to see him lose to Akaya Bahalio. I think these guys are going to start to get drained out of the top of the division. These middleweights and welterweights that have been around for ages. These number 1 and 2 so-called, Izzy and Whittaker, Colby and Usman. Like, it ain't 2019 anymore. Like, you aren't the 2 best fighters in the division. You're out of the sport. Like, go away. Whittaker I don't mind, but I do think he's going to lose. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. This one's just kind of me taking the piss and hating because I hate Brendan Allen, and if you've watched the channel for a while, you'd know I hate Brendan Allen on Crip. Hope this dude dies. I don't know why I don't like him, but anyway, he's going to fight, and all jokes aside, he's fighting Anthony Hernandez. He's going to fucking lose. Praise be to Allah. He's going to lose to Anthony Hernandez, and then who's he going to fight after that? Probably fucking, I don't know. Let me talk about this kid Carlos. No. Who's he going to fight after that? I don't know, but he'll lose, hopefully. Give him fucking Jack Hermanson. He'll get 49-46. Anyway, let's move on though to the light heavyweight division. Next up, unlike a few of these previous ones, this is not a downfall I'm rooting for. This is not something that I want to happen, but I have a fear that Jiří Procházka is going to come back and get finished by Jamal Hill, and he's going to lose, and it's going to be tough, and then he's going to fight like a fucking Nikita Krylov and lose, or he's going to fight a Bogdan Guskov and somehow get out-tismed in a fight that he would definitely win a year ago. I don't know, I think we're just going to see a washed version of Jiří, whose chin has been cracked now, like back-to-back fights. We've seen Pereira TKO him, we've seen Rakic tee off on this dude, and we've seen, honestly, every single one of his fights he's taken damage. Like, Ozdemir fight, he was taking shots. Reyes fight, he got fucking flash code. Glover fight, he was getting rocked all over the place. Pereira fight, he got TKO'd. Rakic was teeing off on this dude, and then Pereira killed him in the rematch, basically knocked him out twice. Had him stumbling all over the fucking floor. I hate this for Jiří. I really think he might look shit. Maybe he's just tism enough to fucking not lose his chin, and that's the ideal scenario, because I do want Jamal Hill to be the guy on this list. I do want to be saying Jamal Hill's going to go on a downfall, because he deserves to. But like, Jamal Hill's gone on like a reputation downfall. But I still think fighting-wise, he's not bad. Like, I do think he can beat Jiří. I don't want it to happen, but I'm in two minds. Like, I want to pick Jiří because I like rooting for my pick to win, but I also kind of want to pick Hill because then it's like, okay, whatever, I'll get my pick right, but it's more fun to like root against my pick and be like, no, fuck you, Jamal Hill. So I ultimately think Jiří's going to have a rough 2025. I think he might go like 1-2. I could see that happening. Like, he loses, wins, and then loses again, and it's like, oh, maybe he's back, and no, he's not back at all. Or maybe he loses 2 in a row and then gets to come back at the end of the year. But yeah, I don't think 2025 is going to be a good year for Mr. Procházka. Anyway, let's move on though to another fighter. Next up, Jan Blachowicz. I think this dude, if he fights Carlos Ulberg, and the reason I say if is because I'm hearing some rumblings from a certain source that are telling me that someone's got visa issues and might be out of the fight. And the reason why Pereira is saying it's not Ankalaev is because it's apparently one of the people between Blachowicz and Ulberg. Don't take this as fucking confirmed. This is extremely vague for a reason. But do not be surprised if we see an announcement for either Ulberg or Blachowicz is out, and the person who's not fighting is just going to fight Pereira. Do not be surprised if that happens. Not saying it's definitely happening, but it might. And if Blachowicz is the guy that fights Pereira, I think he's losing. And if Blachowicz goes ahead and fights Olberg, I think he's losing too. He's had shoulder surgery. I don't think he's going to look good coming back. If he fights anyone else as well, like, there's winnable fights from in the top 10 for sure. If he fights Johnny Walker, he would win. But like, if he fights a Reyes, I would favour him to win, obviously. But yeah, I think Blachowicz isn't going to look the best coming back at 41 years of age after shoulder surgery. Anyway, let's move on. Do it, guys. That is the video done. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Which fighters do you think are falling off this year? Let me know. I want John Jones to fall off too. I was going to include him, but I didn't. Anyway, goodbye.